The town board meeting of the town of Bedford of August 5th, 2025. If you would please rise if you're able to pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are beginning with a public hearing scheduled on a local law to further extend the moratorium for large-scale battery energy storage systems. And do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is a moratorium we've had going for about a year as we work on drafting a local ordinance to better manage battery energy storage systems as those applications have been increasing. This particular local law is different from the other two in that it doesn't exempt the small personal use ones that just go like in a garage. They're under 80 kilowatt hours and they're not really the subject of the ordinance. They're smaller than an EV battery. They are usually connected either to solar or used as a generator in a home. They're very small. So this is to continue the moratorium on anything larger than that, which encompasses the ones that are usually on commercial property for on-site use that are like the size of a couple of refrigerators. There's one at the Vail Buick. It's actually not owned by Vail anymore. The Buick dealership on Route 117 has one of those, and then that's one type, and then the other type is the large ones that are usually utility scale. So that's really what we're contemplating, and the state has just come out with new regulations that were released just a couple days ago. So we'll be looking at those. Those are supposed to make New York State's fire code much more vigorous with respect to these systems and what needs to go into them to make them safer. So we'll be looking at that and looking at the model ordinance and looking at our own zoning and requirements to see if we can put something forward that adequately regulates these. So in the meantime, we don't want any applications coming in without a law in place to understand how to deal with them. So if we have any comments from the public, we'd love to welcome those now. Okay, any comments from the board? Okay, there being no comments, I would like to move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like to move that we approve the new, the local law to extend the moratorium.
Second.
Any discussion? So this gives us six months. Hopefully before the end of that, we will be back with some more information about the law.
Great.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Under new business, we have a request by Comptroller Keneally to approve the abstract of claims and paid priors in the amount of $1,586,356.48. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a notice of the financial report. We don't have to take any action on that. We have a notice of the termination from the DPW Commissioner Kevin Wynn of employee 200758 effective on July 16, 2025. And number 4, we have a notification that I appoint Comptroller Brian Keneally as budget officer for the 2025 budget. So thank you, Comptroller Keneally, for undertaking the 2026 budget, right, 2025 year, 2026 budget, yes. There's a memo to appoint Brian to do that, and that entails meetings that we're having now with all of the department heads as they submit their budgets for 2026. Then we will have work sessions in September with the board to present, budget officer will present a tentative budget at the end of October, which will be posted with the clerk. And then the town board will take a look at that. I think adopt it as the preliminary budget, and then hold public hearings on that. With any changes that the board wants to make, to hear public comments, and then if any more changes are made, and then it is finalized in December. So it's quite a process, and we already have notice of increases in benefits and health benefits and things like that will affect the budget. So we will be working to keep that under the tax cap. So thank you for that. Number 5, request to approve an agreement with the Katona Bedford Hills Volunteer Ambulance Corps regarding the Advanced Life Services billing. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? This is to enable, it's just KVHVAC provides basic life services when the paramedic fly car goes along with them. They are able to bill at a higher rate because it was an advanced life service call. So this is just an agreement that KVHVAC will keep that money from that being reimbursed by Medicaid or insurance company, as opposed to remitting some of it to the town, which has been the practice in the past. This cleaned up some of that language and is going to allow them, it's quite a process for them to bill. So it is related to that. And it cleaned up sort of any other issues with, if they need a grant for something else, they will come to us for a grant for something else. But in the meantime, this is the agreement with respect to the Medicaid and reimbursement situation. So any questions or comments? They provide such a great service to the town, and glad to hear that they're billing for what's due to pay for their services, and this extra for ALS makes a lot of sense. So.
Right, and that funding's then to be used for additional, to provide services.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 6, we have a request by tax receiver Melanie Krebs to grant an extension for up to 5 business days for payment of taxes by seniors who receive a senior exemption. And we have Receiver Krebs here. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. I'm here to request a resolution to extend the deadline for the upcoming school collection for senior citizens. Under New York real property tax law, we have the authority to grant an extra 5 business days, which would bring us to October 7th for the first half installment and February 9th for the second half. Something that our town has been doing for the past 20 years, and I'm hoping we can continue to offer this support to our senior community. It's for enhanced senior star and senior low income.
Thank you. That's great. And do you find people are taking, need
Yes.
to do it?
Yes.
And it's because of when the Social Security check comes in sometimes?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. There's a little bit of a lag where a lot of times people don't get their checks until the 3rd or 4th day of the month, so this allows them to utilize that check to pay their taxes. So it's very valuable.
Yes, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments?
This is great. I mean, we have an aging population. It's only gonna, our senior citizen population is only gonna get larger, and this is a really great help. That flexibility is really important.
It is. We get a lot of feedback, positive feedback about it. So
Great.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 7, we have a request by Chabad of Bedford for an extension of the temporary certificate of compliance. I think I see Rabbi Wolf was here. Hi, Rabbi. Thank you for joining
Hey.
us.
Thank you for having me.
So we received a letter requesting an extension of the temporary certificate of compliance at the Chabad property, so that there is time to complete site work that was required by the site plan. And there's a resolution in the packet regarding this.
Right, and thank you, Supervisor. So there was a temporary certificate of compliance that can only last 1 year, that is expired, and so there was a request by the Chabad to extend that. There is site work that still needs to be completed. There was some additional site work done that was not part of the original site plan that needs to be analyzed. There were violations issued regarding some of that site work that the Chabad is aware of, and they're working to cure right now. as well as some wetlands issues that they need to apply for a wetlands permit as well. But the building department and town engineer have both advised that the interior, that the building structure itself and the use of the building, that's right now, there's no issue with that at this point. There are some additional fire inspections that the building department is going to set up to be done, but those are annual fire inspections. So given that the building is in a good condition, the board does have the authority to grant a waiver from the one-year limit on the temporary certificate of compliance. The resolution does state that as one of the conditions for the granting of the continuation of the temporary certificate of compliance is the putting up of a surety bond for the amount of the site work that needs to be done. That does not include the wetland issues, but it includes all the site work to finalize any of the old site work and cure any of the new violations. And we need to have that surety bond posted before the final certificate or the temporary certificate of compliance is issued by the building department. And the resolution states it will not be issued until that surety bond is put up. So we're waiting for a final number on what that total cost is. The resolution also states that the Chabad will pursue remediating, any violations and completing the site work diligently. There is an ability for the board to extend it by another 6 months, as long as they're proceeding with diligence and there are no delays that are the Chabad's fault. So that's what the board is considering tonight. I don't know if the rabbi wants to give you any background on where they are with respect to the where that work is and how they're proceeding. So.
Thank you. Yes, Rabbi, thank you
Sure.
for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you, Eric. Yeah, so we did, our contractors made some mistakes that we are taking obviously responsibility for and fixing. The wetlands issue we have submitted to the Wetland Commission, and we should be on their agenda for the 8th of September. The Health Department was there today, and they resolved their issues today, so that's behind us. And I believe that planning first wants us to go to wetlands. So we're all on the way. We should be done all this in the next month or two and put it all behind us and not need any more temporaries.
Great, thank you. That's good to hear. And yeah, we definitely want, I feel it's important to extend your certificate or your temporary certificate so that you can continue to operate and occupy the building as the exterior site work is finished. So as it says in the resolution, we'll be checking in to make sure we have the things that are required to allow that, and then hopefully within 6 months it'll be done. So that would be very
Agreed, and we wouldn't want we would want the same. We want this to be done quickly and not have to come back to ask for any extensions.
Do we have a motion to approve the resolution in the packet?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions by the board? Discussion? Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, number 8, we have a request to approve the First Amendment to the lease with the MTA for the train station property. This is an amendment that we have made with the MTA to allow the town to sublease the station to a commercial tenant. There was language in our prior lease that did not allow that kind of use of the building, so we have amended that and put out an RFP, and that will mean that the town can also collect that rent rather than remitting it to the MTA to use it for building improvements, which were already part of our agreement with them to improve the building so that we could use it. So we think that that is appropriate for some of the work that needs to be done to the outside of the property, and hopefully a tenant will soon be occupying the inside of that property. So do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, I just have a quick question. And you can let me know if we're not prepared to discuss this yet publicly. Any updates on the RFP in terms of, vendors that have come forward?
Yeah, so it's, proposals are due by August 15th.
Okay.
And we have shown the station to a number of people, and it's my understanding they are preparing proposals.
Okay.
But always welcome to encourage others to apply, as we want to have a good choice of possible tenants in there.
Yeah.
But we are looking for some kind of cafe use, some kind of gathering space, that's the highest, that's the priority. The RFP packet is intimidating because it's like 150 pages long. A lot of it is like MTA's requirements for what signs should look like,
Right.
which I'm not sure it's even going to apply.
Sure.
I think there's a lot in there that it's mostly the first 15 pages that really matter, and then we'll figure out the rest. So if you know of anyone who's interested, please encourage them, and we're happy to show them the space.
And just as a quick follow-up question, maybe need to brush up on the RFP process, but have we reached out to chambers of commerce, who have a lot of connections to local entrepreneurs? Has that been part of the
Yes,
plan?
we sent the RFP to the chambers. Our business promoter's been handing it out. I've sent it to everyone who's ever inquired about the train station space to me, which has been people over the years. But obviously that's still a limited universe.
Right.
So happy to expand beyond that and if we don't get adequate submissions, we don't have to pick a vendor to go in there.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the update.
Yeah. Okay, did we already do the second? Yes, we did.
Yes.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. We have a request to authorize the signing of a project order with Kinley Horn for consultant services related to Chabad of Bedford follow-up traffic study. That was part of the initial site plan review that needs to be finished up.
Right, there was a requirement, an initial special permit granted by the zoning board that there be a follow-up traffic study several years after the operation to ensure that there were no concerns. So the town needs to have it reviewed by its traffic consultant, and they provide input with respect to the traffic study. I think there's a not-to-exceed amount of $4,500 on the agreement.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a request by the town clerk to approve the event application and co-sponsorship of Team Nikhil Inclusive Trick-or-Treating Event on October 31st at Jefferson Lane? Jefferson Avenue? Okay, at Jefferson in Bedford Village, with parking at Bedford Village Park. This was a great event, first time last year, and so happy to see that they are proposing to do it again. The neighbors do trick-or-treating at the end of the driveway. The police close the road and help manage traffic. Because it's an inclusive event, if someone needs to be dropped off in a wheelchair, they help facilitate that, and then they can go park. It's low sensory experience. It's accessible. It's really a very nice opportunity for kids who don't normally get to just go out in the neighborhoods on Halloween with other kids to do that. So, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a request from Personnel Director to approve the appointment of Sherry Koval to the position of Senior Office Assistant in the Building Department effective August 30th with a delayed start on or about September 2nd, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any discussion, questions? Nope, thrilled to get somebody into that spot to help the building department manage the window and all the many phone calls they get, and help support the staff there. So do we have, I guess, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Thanks for joining us. Request to sign the town of Bedford Mutual Aid and Rapid Response Plan. It's an intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a request to appoint Kate Terry, reappoint Kate Terry as member and as chair of the Historic Building Preservation Commission. Kate has been the chair a couple of years. She's been on for a full term, and she's doing a fabulous job as chair. She's also been working on some of the efforts to figure out outreach to owners of historic buildings, along with a group that's been meeting regularly to think about that. So she's bringing fresh, new ideas to historic preservation, and she's doing a good job of chairing that committee. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then I added here the continued discussion of the proposed sign ordinance changes. We talked about this at our last meeting. We haven't drafted a local law yet because we try not to set public hearings and do things that may be of interest to the public to come and talk about and contemplate in the dead of summer. It's quite quiet out there. So I will ask Attorney Gordon to prepare something for our next meeting so that we can set a public hearing in September, October on this. But lawn signs in the right-of-way are defined and regulated, but signs in people's front yards are not. Our code is silent on those. It basically says you have to have a permit for any kind of sign unless it's listed in the ordinance. So, however, a lot of people do have signs in their front yards, and there's a sentiment that they want to have signs in their front yards, and they should be able to have some amount under the First Amendment. I think there's some amount that, you know, they definitely are allowed to express themselves. So the proposal was to update the sign code to give some parameters around those disposable lawn signs on residential properties where it's used for residential use. The proposal that we had so far that we were discussing last time was to include, allow on residential property, non-illuminated, no more than 2, no more than 6 feet in size on either side where the writing is, and not less than, we said 5 feet from neighboring lot lines. And in getting some comments from the public on this over the last couple of weeks, I was proposing that we also add the use of temporary signs if they're in accordance with the same rules that apply to those signs on the right-of-way. So that would mean if you had a sign related to an event, it could be up for 30 days, and you can have as many as you want, as long as they come down after 30 days, because that's sort of the rule in the right-of-way. But if it's any other kind of sign,
Well, you could,
there would be no limit on how long it would be up.
Okay, would the concept be you could have more than the 2 signs if it was you could add the temporary sign to the additional 2 signs that you could have up year-round, let's
Right.
say, right? Okay.
Right. The 2 signs that you have could be related to an event, and you could keep them up all year.
Right.
3rd
sign.
As long as there's only 2 of them. But if you had 3 and they were all related, you know, to an event, or 2 weren't related to an event, the 3rd one could only be up for 30 days.
Right.
So that would be, because it's really hard to enforce any limit on how long signs can be up if there's not really a date to tie them to. So that's how it works in the right-of-way, that it really has to be tied to a date, and then it can only be up for 30 days. You know, there are, you know, as you start to look around, there are a lot of these for my high school athlete or graduate, or, you know, you're supporting a political candidate, or, you know, something like that. That the political candidate one is tied to an event.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you wanted to have one up, you know, that would fit within the two rules. So I didn't get specific on this. We were also thinking there's nothing in the ordinance about real estate signs. And I think we probably need to ask the real estate offices, like what are the sizes of their signs? They're a little bigger, they're bigger than lawn signs, they're taller, they're like on posts usually, so, and those do look better than lawn signs usually, so, we'll have to maybe figure out if there's a size, that's right for those. Any questions, comments,
I
discussion?
mean, I think that also brings up the height issue, right? So, I mean, we did talk about width and the signs size, but, you know, are signs supposed to be 10 feet off the ground, or are they supposed to be low? I don't know if that's an issue, but I do think it's something to be
Sure.
mindful of. I mean, once you start talking about it, then it just opens the can of worms.
Under 6 feet, huh? I mean, they can only be 6 square feet big, right? But you could put them up on.
Yes.
Yes. Well, what do you think? I mean, I think we have to put something
6,
out there
7
for
feet,
comment.
I would think. Something like that.
Thoughts?
Off the ground.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just want to make sure I'm understanding, because I think, you know, there are signs that folks, as you kind of suggested, right, that they like to have it year round, and then there are signs that you might, you know, put up for an event, and then I also kind of want to bring to the discussion, while of course remaining nonpartisan here, thinking about election times, right, when you know, folks aren't just supporting candidates, but, you know, ballot propositions or specific causes. And, you know, I'm wondering if what you're suggesting as well with how we treat, you know, both signs that are on year round and temporary ones, whether it gives folks flexibility as well during campaign season, you know, when they might want to put up 3 signs. So just curious about that, and I don't know if that's already covered by something you're suggesting.
I think that amendment that talks about the
Yeah.
temporary tied to an event, I think that would cover that.
Cover that as well, even though it's not an event per se. But
I think
Yeah.
we covered that when we talked about the signs in the right of way, and
Okay.
we talked about, you know, some of them may not have a date, but we know they're tied to the election, and I think that would
Yeah.
cover it.
Right, it already
Right.
says that in the law, I believe it says.
It says signs displayed during campaigns, drives, or events of civic, political, philanthropic, educational, or religious institutions. So that
Yeah.
would be covered. That
in
would
the
cover
right
those
of
types
way,
of events.
and
Yes.
and also folks that put up campaign-related signs on their private property.
Well, what Ellen mentioned, to
Consider-
add to this would be making that applicable to people's private
Got it.
property.
Okay.
So that's taking into account what people had been commenting if they wanted to put those on their property.
Yeah.
I did want to comment on what Stephanie just mentioned about the height of the signs, and this is something Eric could probably speak to. But I think when we start talking about signs that are of very large height, that probably comes under a real estate nuisance, right? Because that would prevent people, in a lot of cases, from enjoying their own property if it blocks sight lines and vision, you know, if it blocks lighting. I mean, would that come under that category?
Well, we could, as long as you're not restricting the height of a certain sign, you know, if it applies to all signs, then I think we'd be okay.
Right.
Then you would be,
Okay.
then it would be acceptable. So,
Yeah. All right.
you know, and
And also that's more of a private cause of action, I think.
Right,
which-
I'm just saying
Right.
that I think if we don't run into trouble having to decide the height, because I think once you get to a certain height, that is going to cause a nuisance, and that goes beyond what we have to account for in this. You don't think so? You think it's going to,
Yeah, I mean.
you think it's going to be purely an aesthetic problem in some cases?
I mean, I guess if it's only 6 square feet and you want to put it up really high, I don't know.
you mean like attached to a stick that goes up 10 feet in the
Yeah,
air or
right.
something like that?
Right.
I mean, the town could probably limit that if they think that would really have a detrimental impact on the community. I mean,
Right. But
That's the whole idea of, I think, this is that having too many of these signs or too large signs creates
Right.
some kind of clutter or impacts the residential aspect of the community, so.
I don't know. I think if you maybe it's too hard to figure out how tall it is.
Yeah.
And it's unlikely that's going to happen or be that terrible if someone wants to do that. There's only 2 of them.
I don't know, it looks like Stephanie has questions about that.
I don't know.
The
You're
enforcement.
just trying to anticipate
The
what.
enforcement is the
They-
question,
Yeah.
because the temporary signs in the right of way, if they are left up 2-3 days after an event, code enforcement can take them down. Or if they are not, so if they're a commercial sign, or they're not, or they're not one of the uses that we allow an event, tied to an event, we can just go take them because they're on our property. These are on private property, so we don't have the right to go on to someone's property and take these signs away. So there would have to be some kind of mechanism, what we do now is we'd have to give them a code violation, they'd have 30 days to, take the sign down, or they'd get a summons, a notice of, have to come to court and talk to the judges about their sign that they left up outside of our ordinance. I mean, it's an onerous process. It's not, you can't just give them a ticket,
Right. Well, they would probably be notified first that they have to take, that they've been up too long, and then the process would continue from there.
Right,
So,
right. So it is difficult to enforce.
I imagine the enforcement will also be complaint-based, right? Where a neighbor sees someone's, a yard sign that is, not easy to the eye, and and kind of reminds me of leaf blower situation, right? Where it's neighbors kind of.
I think it's
want
easier
it-
for the code
yeah.
enforcement officer to see.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want it to
sign.
get to that point,
Yeah.
but
Right.
Because
if
enforcement
it
is
was
tricky.
a billboard in someone's yard, then code enforcement would see it.
yeah, it's pretty obvious. But
Yeah.
for the less obvious cases,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, to Andres's point, I think this was just brought to the board in the first place because residents were having
We're
problems with
complaining
it.
about
So
their neighbor's sign.
that's,
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And it's not only one instance, and
yeah.
and yes, they don't want, necessarily to be pinned as the person who's complaining about their neighbor,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So, but we are happy to hear from more people, because I think there have been people who've been emailing me and weighing in on this issue, and want to make sure that we have looked at we have had interns look at other towns, not just in New York, like other ordinances. What's this, how do they get regulated? This size seems to be what a lot of towns limit it to. Only 2 signs is pretty standard. Yeah.
I just have a question about that. If there were any trends noted regarding having this kind of code for private property, and are they still having signs on town property or in the town right of way, or is it limited to like state and county roads right away? Because we can't do anything about that, right? But we can say that you can't put a sign on town. So do we want to continue having this profusion of signs? I mean, I just wonder. I feel like it's just like, oh, can we have more signs? And we
Oh,
have so many
interesting.
signs.
So, if our law prohibited.
So if you're now putting them on your property, are we still just going to have them all in everywhere?
For 30 days.
Well, it depends on the sign. It's 30 days and 30 days and 30 days and 30 days.
Right.
I don't really have, I'm not really that interested in
Yeah, I mean,
over-regulating. I'm just curious.
so if they were only the temporary signs in the right of way, we don't really regulate on county and state roads, you're saying? Or
Correct.
you can only regulate the town right of way. So you're saying if we were to more severely limit the temporary sign law to have less signs in the right of way, I mean, it is kind of how we advertise for like police night out.
Listen,
or
I'm not suggesting. I'm just
Hop
curious.
Fest, or
If there's been any correlation between that, or have we if there were any comments about that? I don't.
There may be issues with regulating those types of signs on public property as well. Completely. limiting the ability to put up those signs on public property, so.
Oh, we could reduce the number of days they could
Right.
go up. We could,
I think we should see
could
where this
limit-
leads us and see what people have to say about this proposal. I was just asking a
yes.
question.
Yes. I know, because some people don't want any signs at all.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Not me, of course.
No, it's,
Yeah, I think the stipulations we've discussed here are quite reasonable and are really doing a good job of striking that balance between, protecting folks' First Amendment rights and making sure that we're also keeping in mind neighborhood aesthetics. And to Stephanie's point, I think community input is needed at this point. And so if we can, put this draft law together and hold a public hearing, I think we're ready for that step. And of course, there's a million, maybe not a million, but certainly many other things we could consider, but we won't fully be aware of that until we hear from the public, so.
okay. All right, so if anyone has any other thoughts, of what we might add to this, let me know, and we will get something drafted to take a look at our next meeting, and then at that meeting, we can set a public hearing for the subsequent meeting, rather than doing it the first meeting of September. Okay, do we have any public comments? Sure. Comptroller Keneally.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I actually wasn't planning on saying anything tonight, but I figured let me stay with the summer schedule, with the gap for the next meeting. Just speaking about the commuter lots, I just wanted to mention two things. We're going to actually have a meeting on Thursday about it, but I thought maybe I'd mention it now to the public in case we implement it before. With the commuter lot 3, which is the Woods Bridge lot next to Paulie's Deli, some feedback we've been getting is some people are a little bit confused with paying where we have the numbered spaces on the perimeter of the lot, and then we have the open spaces in the middle that are not numbered. As it stands now, you actually can park in the middle or the perimeter on the app, but people are under the misconception that if they don't have an annual permit, that they could only park on the perimeter. And if you ever drive by, you see, the middle is like 10% full, where every perimeter spot is taken. We actually don't have a lot of annual permits at this point. Like, a lot of people there are daily parkers. So we've been talking, and I spoke with Kevin. The plan is to change that lot to get rid of the numbered spaces and just kind of make it a park anywhere lot, first come, first serve. So I think, with only 30-something annual residents at this point, I don't think that's going to be an issue with them getting the priority spots towards the front more. So I think that'll kind of help with the confusion behind the app on paying for it for the day. Just wanted to kind of put that out there. We'll work on that change.
And then it's just the license plate readers that can tell if someone's paid or if they have a permit, like if they.
Yeah, so, right, now,
Usually
so
that-
the park enforcement can scan the lot and just scan the LPR,
Right.
and they'll know right away who is paid, who hasn't. So
Okay.
basically, to be a park anywhere lot for that lot.
Right.
So, yeah,
Does-
that's all.
Do we run the risk of, like, giving up all the spots and then permit holders don't have anywhere to park? Because
So
it's
they'll-
unlimited now for daily parking?
I don't think we're anywhere near that.
Okay.
Like, if you look at, even in the most busy commuting days, it's not anywhere near being 100% full.
Okay,
If that trend were to, really change, like drastically, we could talk about that. There's some solutions we could have to that, like a temporary overflow lot for the day, or we could talk about that if that were to happen, but I don't really think that's going to be an issue.
okay. Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. And we have been monitoring the Bedford Hills lots daily and tracking empty available spots to see if we can move some permit holders around and create public parking, perhaps in Lot 5, which is behind the post office.
Yeah, we could add some daily spots there with the app.
With the
You know,
app.
four sold out, but it still is quite empty often. People are not commuting as much as they used to, although there's been a recent uptick for it.
Right.
But we're just cautious to oversell it more than it already is.
Yep. Yeah, I think we could use more parking in Bedford Hills, and that could be a good solution. Also, where people are getting their hair cut or going, to get a kind of treatment or want to just spend more time at the library to program, all the parking is limited to 2 hours, I think, in Bedford Hills. So
Right.
to have a place you can park longer is a nice opportunity. So we'll be bringing that proposal.
To add maybe 3, 4, 5 hour, 6 hour,
Right,
parking.
right, limited 4 or 5 hours. And then also we've been watching people wipe the chalk off the tires in Depot Plaza. So we may want to consider paid parking, free for the first 30 minutes or something, but then the app kicks in for that lot as well. We may have to talk about that.
We discussed, that's a good idea. So we could set it up where you could put in your information, but you don't pay until you actually exceed the 30 minutes or whatever
Right.
threshold we decided.
Right, so if you're running in somewhere, it's easy, but if you're going to stay for a while, you got to put in some
Right.
money. Put in 25
Actually, one more thing I forgot to mention. There's also been some service issues, I feel like recently, more so than before. I'd say the last month, people are having an issue getting cellular service at the Katona lots, basically, and even in Bedford Hills, which is Lot 4. So we're working with our IT provider to have a public Wi-Fi, just to make sure that anybody who's there can get a cellular connection and pay for the day.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
And we are trying to get to the bottom of what happened. I think there's been an upgrade at the cell tower at the prison, and AT&T seems to be down, Verizon seems to be kind of less, so we're trying to, we don't own the tower, we don't run the cell companies, but we are trying to put pressure on them to fix the problem, so.
Yeah, it
But
can
it's a
be
good idea to
tied-
have a backup, of our
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
just in case. You're right, it can be tied to specific cell providers, so yeah.
Right. Sometimes they make upgrades to equipment, and it takes time to get the balance right.
Calibrated
But it
or-
seems like AT&T is just down, so I don't know what's going on with that.
It's been noticeable the last couple of weeks, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any board member announcements? We have Food Truck Fridays on Friday, and pools are open, and memberships are half price. Been spending a good amount of time there in the weekends. It's beautiful. So, okay, our next meeting is not until Thursday, September 4th. We moved it so that we aren't coming right back after Labor Day with the meeting. And we have been light on our meetings in the summer, as I said. So I think we're in for a lot of interesting meetings in the fall. Thursday, September 4th is the next town board meeting. Okay, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.